Yes, lads, what is going on? And welcome to season 4, episode 7 of The Running Irishman. In this episode, we are joined by Luke McCann. Before we jump into it, obviously, if you're watching this video, and probably even if you're listening to it, you can see that I got a brand new microphone for Christmas. It's not fully like I have to tweak it and get it properly set up and get sound the way I like it. But at the moment I have it plugged into the audio thing here, and yeah, it's looking good and it's nearly ready to fully go for an episode of the podcast. On the topic of that, I'm going to get the mic ready and everything and do a solo episode of the podcast, hopefully for next Thursday, talking about, new mic, where I am with the running, where I am with the injury, and a lot has been happening with the team, with the running team, so I'm going to be getting into that as well. So make sure to stay tuned, make sure to subscribe if you have not already, or follow the Running Irishman, the official Instagram, link down in description and in the show notes. So we have all that wrapped up and out of the way. As I said at the beginning, we are joined by Luke McCann. Luke is probably one of the nicest guests I've had on the podcast. Really sound lad, I must say. Luke and I talk about, his entire current running career. To, he wasn't one of these young prodigies. Even he said that he never made a school track All-Ireland, or so it just shows. And now he's running for Ireland in the European Championships, as we talked about in this episode. He ran for Ireland in the European Championships in the mixed relay team, where unfortunately they finished fourth. But he talks about that entire experience. He talks about running on the, kind of pro series this year, or last track season, running for Ireland in the European track indoors, and running in the Continental Tour Gold races, and a lot more. So make sure to stay tuned. I'm really looking forward for everyone to give this episode a listen, and I do hope you all enjoy. So without further ado, let's get into it. Yes, lads, what is going on?
My name is Amy O'Donoghue.
People call me Dr. Josh.
My name's Lewis O'Loughlin.
My name is Isolde O'Donnell.
I'm Charlie O'Donovan.
I'm Abdullah Joe.
I'm Scott Fagan.
I'm Mark Conrad.
My name's Cormac Dalton.
I'm Paul Byrne.
I'm Michael Morgan.
More than a runner.
The Irish Hammer.
My name's Brennan.
I'm Brian Fay.
It's Dash Bar.
I am a triathlete.
Craig Engels.
Cheryl Nolan. Sean Donoghue. John Rankin.
We got 10th at the World Championships in 2019 in Doha.
I'm doing great, just happy to be on the podcast.
I'm a Man United fan.
Let's get into this episode of the podcast. Alright everyone, so we're here with Luke McCann. Thanks very much, Luke, for taking the time to come on the podcast. Really appreciate it. If you kind of just want to take it away, I suppose, for anyone watching, listening at home, about who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, Killian. So my name is Luke McCann. I'm a 1500, sometimes 800 meter Irish athlete. Trying to make as many teams as possible at the moment, but yeah, just kind of make my way up there in the scene at the moment.
100%, and this year especially, even leading up to this year with injuries and stuff like that, you haven't had it easy. But this year especially, you had quite a breakthrough season. But for now, we'll kind of go back to the roots, I suppose you could say, and just, where it all began, when you started, why you started, and yeah, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, so I was 13 when I first started in DSD. My sister was actually, she's 2 years younger than me, Jodie. She started when she was like 10, I'd say. And then I was just down. My mum was picking her up from training one day, and the coach came over to the car window, saw me. I was like, "You can get out here next Tuesday," or something like that. So I started popping down for a few sessions, and then you know how it is yourself. Like, you kind of just get roped into the league races and the Dublins and the Leinsters and stuff like that. And then obviously there's all the kind of club championships across. I was mainly a cross country runner growing up. I was always away during the track season, so my season started and ended with cross country. So it was all about the Dublins, the All Irelands, getting the team as high up as possible, better than the year before. Yeah, and then kind of kept that up until kind of had that same thing. Maybe started back onto the track maybe when I was 15, 16. Was doing 15s and 3Ks. Wasn't very good. Actually, one thing I never made a schools All Ireland on the track.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that's weird now looking back,
Yeah.
being like a 3:36 15. I was never very good as a junior. Like, and I was training. Like, people think I took up running in 2017, but like I've been running since I was 13
Yeah.
properly and training hard, and just couldn't make it. I was just like we were talking beforehand. Like, I was late with my growth spurt and everything, and it all just kind of started clicking in 2017 after leaving.
Definitely. So that kind of like is related to my next question in terms of, as you meant, all the stuff that you're doing now, racing European indoors, European cross country, representing Ireland on one of the biggest stages. And like from early on, was there ever, that thing in your mind where you could get to the stage where you are at now?
Well, it wasn't even really a thought when I was growing up and stuff. Like, I wasn't even that big into international athletics. Like, I'd watch the Olympics and stuff like that, but I never knew what European cross country was or
Yeah.
the Europeans at all. I knew who Usain Bolt was and Mo Farah. That was probably about it. Um, yeah, like like I didn't even know what an IMC was when I was like 17, 18. Like, it was just so basic. We were just so like involved with the club and everything that it was just all about the Dublins, the All Irelands. That was kind of like the where we saw the pinnacle of it being, and then it was only from kind of 2017 onwards when we started hearing about IMCs and European juniors and stuff like that. And like I've always kind of had the mentality that I could make these teams and stuff like that, but I just always haven't done it. Like in 2017, my PV was 409, and I remember I was out on the piss with my friends and stuff like that, and I was joking at Christmas. And I was like, I'm going to make the European junior team this year, and the standard was 352, and I ended up running 350, or the B standard was 352. I think the A standard might have been 349, but I just got one B, so I didn't actually make it. But it was after running that one B standard, you're kind of going like, "Cheers, I nearly actually made it there."
Yeah.
Like, I nearly kind of proved a lot of people wrong, and we've kind of just been having the same mentality throughout my career so far.
So maybe it just took that, maybe the natural talent maybe was always there in a sense, and just took that extra little bit of training to let it show in a sense. And then obviously from an early enough age, your dad started taking over the coaching role as well for you. So what was that? Was that a period within your running career where, the training started becoming more intense and you start seeing more improvements?
Yeah, so I actually gave up running for the leaving cert. So I did the cross country season in sixth year, and then I stopped running completely up until the leaving. Just completely prioritizing getting into the college course that I wanted, and because I wasn't running competitively really at that stage.
Yeah.
Like, I was still only running the Dublins and All Irelands and stuff, and again, I had never made an Irish schools. Like, I didn't think I was very good at all. So yeah, like, I'd gained a load of weight, wasn't fit at all obviously when I was coming back. I was just doing a couple of runs over the summer, and then kind of just started training for a bit of fun. For the next cross country season, it wasn't very good. I think I came like I don't know what age it was, under 19s maybe. I must have come like 50 something or something like that in the All Irelands, but like I didn't even qualify. It was just the team qualified.
Yeah.
And then my dad obviously saw I nearly dropped out of that race. My dad was there, and he was already coaching my sister Jodie, who had been making Eurocross after Eurocross the years
Yeah.
before. And he was like, "Ah, sure, do you want to jump in a few sessions, see where I can take you?" So I just kind of started from there, and then he has no running background at all. Like he was a swimmer growing up, and he actually just missed the Olympics himself in swimming when he was a youngster. So it's actually been quite a good kind of journey we've been on, because it's like we're both kind of learning everything
Yeah.
together. It's not like he's an ex-professional athlete and he knows how everything goes and all the training regimes and stuff. Like we're still doing the research ourselves, still learning together, still making up training programs together and stuff. So it's quite a fun but unique kind of approach to elite running, I suppose.
So from the sounds of it, as you mentioned, you were learning together, and it for a while it obviously wasn't very intense, I presume. So I presume then it wasn't really affecting your day-to-day life if a session didn't go well or a race didn't go well. It was kind of just, I presume, just brushed to the side.
Well, it was certainly before the leaving anyway. But like when I moved to my dad, I just started training completely by myself. Obviously, I was with my sister and stuff, but like I'm obviously not training with her. I'll
Yeah.
be doing like the session at the same time. And like yeah, like I think we kind of started taking it just like bit by bit. So like I remember doing the indoor season that year, and I ran. So my PB was 4:09 from maybe 2 years before that. So this was the national juniors indoor, and I ran 4:18, and I came second last. So I was 18 at the time running this, and it was just like, shit, that was in around the time my dad was like, all right, like let me take you on and kind of like see where we can, because I was just unhappy. I was like no one's really that happy coming second last at the national juniors.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just kind of setting small goals. So it was like, all right, the next race was I was in first year college, like, and like obviously I had no offers, NCAA offers, like that wasn't even a thing for me, like that was something so above me at the time. I was in UCD, and there was the indoors for the intervarsity indoors, and I was putting the B race. And I remember it was like just get as close to your PB as possible, and I ran 4:13 there, and it was almost like a fist bump, kind of like, all right, there's a bit of improvement there now. And then the next step was to try and PB. I think I ran like 4:05 or something like that in the Leinster indoors, and then it was just kind of from there it was just chipping away at like, then it was like the outdoor varsities, then it was like my first IMC. And then it's like, okay, we're kind of getting somewhere now. And it was like 3:54 down to 3:50. And the next race, then you're kind of getting into bigger races bigger, like there was like the Ortegum, the IFAM in Belgium, the famous short track in Ortegum, where everyone seems to PB.
Yeah.
Headed over there, and that's where I did my 3:50. And like, yeah, that like I just started getting addicted and obsessed with just PBing all the time and like improvement and stuff. Like no matter how small it was, like I wasn't exactly an extraordinary athlete at the time either. Running 3:50, but you're still just the same concept. And now, like same mindset. Now it's just like always looking to get better and better and better. Obviously, the range of improvements obviously way higher when you're up at that time. But yeah, it's been a fun journey so far.
And specifically within training, what do you think, compared now the training which you're doing with your dad, and then as it progressed, kind of in what way did it progress as you got older and you start getting better, mileage and intensity started to increase? Would that be correct?
Well, yeah, obviously the mileage would obviously be ramping up a bit. Not that I'm on major mileage now. I'd probably range between 60 to 75 maybe in the winter months, and then it can get as low as maybe 25 to 30 miles during racing season and stuff. So it's just like we've just learned to adapt the kind of sessions to me rather than following like a general regime that like most athletes might do.
Yeah.
We've kind of just like over the years we've kind of tinkered with a few bits, found different sessions, used different like athletes from the past, and like use them as inspiration when like coming up with training plans. And even athletes now, like the Ingebrigtsen and stuff, they're getting something right in the 1500s. So
Yeah.
we're trying to even learn from them a bit. But yeah, it's just kind of, we found the kind of plan that works for me at the moment. Like I'm not really getting injured as much now because I think we found the right kind of balance with mileage and intensity, and gym and stuff like that, and then also the right kind of sessions to do at the right time of year. Yeah, like it's obviously gotten a lot more specific now than it was back in 2017 when my dad was coaching me, because that was almost a guesswork game back then. Now it would be a lot more kind of tailored towards running fast 1500s and fast 800s.
Definitely. And briefly there, you touched on, heading over to America and picking up scholarships. And at the time where that was a possibility for you going into college, or it wasn't as much of a possibility for you heading into college,
Not at all, no.
is it something that you'd like to look into maybe in the future? You have people like Brian Fay who recently head over to Washington after spending a good few years in DCU. Is that something you'd like to look into in the future?
Not for me, no. I started off in UCD doing engineering, and I just did my third year. After my third year, I was actually I was given the Ad Astra scholarship, and they've been so good for me in UCD. Like they're so good with like kind of like arranging assignments and exams around like your training, and they've let me like split my years and stuff. So I'm on like kind of half the workload that a normal student would be on, so I can kind of train like almost like a professional athlete nearly, because I just have so much time on my hands to recover and get my sessions in when I need to. And I've also got like another, because I've been splitting my years, I have another year left in college when most guys I would have started college with graduated this year. But like I'm not in any rush to be an adult at the moment. But yeah, I mean, like the way I look at it is like I've been improving. Like why try fix something that's not broken at the moment? Like yeah, like you might go over to like, obviously not that it was broken for Brian at all. Like he was an unbelievable athlete before he went over, and he's obviously progressed even further again. But like I feel like he's just someone that would always have progressed. Like he's just an animal. I can see myself doing well over there, but it just doesn't really interest me. Like I like the setup that I have here. I'm getting to know a couple of British athletes and stuff, and linking up with them on training camps and stuff. So I'm more so trying to get into the professional side of things now, rather than I think I'm kind of done with college now once I'm done this degree. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Look, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I suppose is the mentality.
Yeah, exactly,
you can look at that way. This year in particular, as we briefly touched on previously, has been an amazing year. As you mentioned, nearly a breakthrough season for you. But for 2020, it wasn't all smooth sailing. You missed out pretty much on that entire year picking up an injury. Do you want to kind of just talk us through that in terms of what the injury was and how you tried to, stay motivated and stay in the sport throughout the entire year?
Yeah, so it was off the back of the 2019 season. I just made my first ever international by like I'd say it's any like kid coming up now like that's just missing out on maybe Celtic teams or those SIAB teams and stuff. Like I didn't even qualify to the All Ireland to qualify for those teams. So like it's never too late. Like everyone develops at a different rate. But so I made my first ever Irish team for the under 23 Europeans in the 1500 in 2019, and it was just off the back of that season that I was like getting into good shape in winter. I had just come back from a training camp helping out the Paralympian lads with Mike McKillop and stuff. I was asked to go out and help pace some of their sessions and stuff because they were getting ready for their World Championships. And like I was getting in good nick, and I think I was just picked for the mixed relay for Lisbon European cross country. And a day later, I was walking down the stairs and I just felt a massive pop in my knee. Nothing to do with running. Literally just walking down the stairs, nearly fell down the stairs and did a little bit more damage. But Hadn't a clue what it was. I was like, Jesus. I literally remember thinking, like, Jesus better not be serious.
Yeah.
And went to the physio. Like, we were calling up the doctor the next day, being like, what should we do? It was getting into the physio as soon as possible in UCD. And we thought we knew what it was because I was getting pain in my lower quad. And they thought it was like a quad thing, but I was like still unsure because like I felt like a pop in my
Yeah.
knee, and I was like, that doesn't really feel like a quad injury. So you're at that for maybe like a month nearly, like a couple of weeks nearly, trying to fix that. And I was trying to get back into running, and I felt like there was something loose in my knee when I was running, and it was like almost getting jammed. I had to keep stopping on my runs, and I was like, hey, no, something's definitely not right.
Yeah.
So then they sent me in for an MRI, and they realized I had pieces of broken cartilage
Jeez.
just floating around my knee. So basically, it had just snapped. And they think it was from like maybe when I was like younger and I was playing a bit of football or something, and I might have twisted my knee in a certain way, and then it kind of cracked down, and over time it's just been the cracks getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it just fell off that certain time walking out.
Right.
Thank God it didn't fall off during a track session or a race because I could have
True.
done serious damage then. But yeah, so they figured that out, and then just had to try and get in for surgery as soon as possible then, because it's like the only solution is to try and take it out. And the first surgeon we went to wasn't so great. I remember coming out of the consultation with him a bit shook because he had told me that he was like, you definitely will never run as fast as you have run again, and you may never run, period, again. And we were like, Jesus, like from something just walking down the stairs feeling a pop to
Yeah.
a couple of weeks later being told you might not run again. I was
Yeah.
like, Jesus. I was shook coming out of them. They were like, okay, let's go to someone else, get a second opinion. And this guy was just like, like we're just gonna go in, take the pieces out, and see what happens. Like we're not gonna say anything scary like that. And so I went in, got them taken out, thought that was grand. It was just keyhole surgery, so I was in and out on the day, and I was back recovering, and like I was on the bike pretty quick, maybe 2 weeks after. I was hammering the bike then, hammering the cross trainer, because I was able to do like no impact stuff, and I was getting back running then. Then I got the same feeling of something loose in my knee, and I still didn't think it was right. And the physios thought it was in my head and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like there's something definitely wrong here. So then we got another MRI. They found more pieces, and we think that they just kind of missed them or something when they went in the last time. So they
Right.
went in, took those pieces out, and I've been fine ever since. But like the process just took months because like first of all, we didn't know what it was, and then it was getting the MRIs done and then getting the consultations and the two different surgeries. Like by the time I was getting back to my first session, so that was back in like November of 2019. My first session back, I don't know when it was, maybe April, May. And like that's when I was only starting back. Like I was so unfit, but like I was just so like I was itching to get back racing that like I feel like I might have rushed it a bit. And yeah, I popped into one race in Belfast, and I absolutely blew up. Like I took it out in my head. I was going, I'm in PB shape. I'm always in PB shape in my head, no matter how
Yeah.
fit I am. But my body had just had 8 to 9 months off and was not ready to run PB pace. And I blew up running 3:53, probably my slowest 15 I'd run in 2 years. And it was like, all right, yeah, I'm not ready. So then we just called it then. I think that was August something 2020. Called it there, and it was just like, right, we're just gonna get ready for 2021. And had a long enough winter. I've had uninterrupted training really from then until now. Touch wood. And yeah, I can't complain with how things have gone since then, to be honest. But yeah, I was just happy to come away with a good, decent year this year after the year I had last year.
Definitely. And during the course of the injury, after you got the first surgery, and you went out running again, and you still felt, obviously, as we know now, was the loose cartilage in your knee. You know, were you thinking like, Jesus, will I ever get back running? Like, is the surgery not working? If maybe what the first doctor said, is that true, or were you kind of always like more on the optimistic side of things?
I think the next couple of days after the first consultation with the first lad, I was definitely doubting everything. I was a bit scared, as you would be.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, this is like my obsession. I just like this is all I think about, really, running. And I was being told that I'm not going to be able to do it again. I was going, Jesus, this is pretty extreme for what I thought it was,
Yeah.
and what it's turned out to be, thankfully. No, but I think once I got back running, we figured out when we met the next doctor. He seemed pretty optimistic. So then, like, we were kind of getting good vibes off him. So I was pretty optimistic when I was coming back first, because we thought that everything was done fine. But it was just like that same, like, it's a weird feeling to describe, like something floating around in your
Yeah,
knee. You
definitely.
can't really show it to
No, it's
anyone, but
yeah,
like I just knew, like, even in my first run back nearly, I knew something wasn't right, and I was like I know, like, the people were saying it was, oh, it's the swelling and it's not down, it's not right yet, and I was like, no, like, that's the same weird feeling again. But then that obviously took a couple of weeks to figure out again. Um, Look, yeah, I'm just glad that I got through it fine, and I've had no problems with that knee since. But yeah, like, I was quite optimistic, because, like, obviously in my head, like I was saying, I feel like I'm always in PB shape. I'm always on the start line, raring to go. Like, I'm
yeah,
never gonna back down from anything, no matter what kind of shape anyone says I'm in, or whatever shape I am in. But I'd always be kind of the optimistic kind of guy. So I was never kind of down on myself or doubting that I couldn't get back to where I was.
definitely. No, those. It's one of the hardest things to do. Obviously, the pain in the knee and stuff, and one of the hardest things about an injury is the people you're telling about not understanding the pain that you're actually feeling, and they're coming up with these. Obviously, I'm going through an injury myself at the moment, and I can relate on
Yeah,
that
yeah,
side of things, where it's people don't know the actual pain, and you can tell yourself when something's not right, and then people are coming up with these mad excuses, whether it's parents, coaches, physios, whatever. So yeah, that can definitely be quite frustrating, but definitely, thank God, everything is sorted now. And transitioning then into the entire year of 2021, in terms of running for you, ended up being, as we mentioned as well previously, quite a breakthrough season. And then coming back from the injury, obviously, you're taking it slow enough. What changed when you start getting back into the hard training? Did anything change at all that has resulted into such good season that you had this year?
Um, well, I think all the time off that I had gave my dad a lot of time to do a lot of thinking
Yeah,
and ways to improve. Just like, it wasn't even major things. Like, my week wouldn't even be that different to most people's. Like, it would kind of just consist of 3 sessions a week, long run on a Sunday, and one of the sessions being a threshold. But like, it was just the smaller things. Like, I don't know. I think we got a lot more like race specific this year. Like, we'd be doing a lot more kind of lactic work, and like, my body would be fairly, like, that's just what my body, like, my body likes lactic work. Like, a lot of people like the mileage and the longer runs and the longer workouts, but like, my bread and butter is 300s at 800 pace. Like,
yeah,
that would be what my body responds best to, and that's just something, like, myself and my dad have kind of figured out over the years. Like, we would have always, like, 'cause, like, starting off, like, doing kind of like trying to learn what the best way to train for 1500 is. Like, obviously, you're going to try, and a lot of people will try and copy the Ingebrigtsens, and they're doing their threshold and blah blah blah. And like we kind of, like, we've like experimented with stuff like that, but like they're just a different type of athlete to me. Like, my when doing like my VO2 max test and stuff like that on the treadmill, and get my lactate testing done. Like I'm able to go above 25 millimole on the treadmill, which the lad in there had never seen before. Whereas like most people would like max out at maybe 7 or 8. I don't know how like kind of like how well you know about lactates and stuff, but like
Yeah.
like the lower the lactate you have, the like more like it would kind of like indicate you're more of an endurance athlete, whereas the
Right.
higher like I kind of have I feel like I kind of have the body physiologically of a 400-meter runner.
Yeah.
So like that kind of like 800 training just really suits me down to the ground. I feel like that's just what a load of the indoor season and kind of right through up after that up until the outdoor season. I was just able to kind of deal with the lactic a lot more because I've seen a 1500 is like that last 4 to 500 is just nearly all lactic if you're going at your PB pace. Yeah, like that's the real difference would be the track sessions that we really adjusted on this year.
Definitely, yeah. Like, you know, from this year specifically in terms of tracking, and obviously there 2 weeks ago, you had the European Cross, but starting off with track then this year, kind of was this your first year in the Diamond League series?
Well, I was only in one. Well, I was in. I was in one Diamond League, and I was in the B race in another Diamond League. But I wouldn't say I was
In
in
this,
the Diamond
yeah,
League
fair enough,
series.
yeah.
Like I'd say more on the pro circuit, as you could call it, maybe getting into the Continental Tour races and stuff, the gold, silver, and bronze races. It's quite hard to get into the top races. You kind of have to get a bit of luck, and a bit of begging goes a long way. But yeah, like I got really fortunate after my first race of the year was in Ostrava, the outdoor season. Sorry. Or do you want me to talk about the indoor first, or
Yeah, if you want,
um,
whichever's handiest for you. That's pretty good. So we start then with the European indoors then before we jump on to the outdoor season.
outdoor?
Yes, so obviously you got the qualifying time for the European indoors, and you were mixing it up with the big dogs. Obviously you're in the same race with Jakob Ingebrigtsen, which kind of obviously
Yeah.
you're in the race, you're in it just as much as he is. You've the same shot as winning as anyone else in that race, but at the same time, being in the same race with someone like Jakob, did that kind of give you the feeling that kind of you're thereabouts in terms of the pro circuit, or the kind of the pro, lifestyle or profession of running?
Not in the slightest. Like I just about qualified for the European indoors. I was um traveling all over the place, getting COVID tests left, right, and center, um, all throughout kind of January, February. Um, don't know. I think I ran my quickest before that micro meet was 3:42. I think I was just underneath the standard, but I was the fourth man. Andrew Cosker, Paul Robinson, and Brian Fay were ahead of me. Um, and I knew I had to go quicker than Brian in that micro meet, so I just ran 3:40 there. But like I'm on the line of the European indoors, and like you can't, no matter how much you can hype yourself up and anything like that, like you're not gonna be on the start line and think you're equal to someone like Jakob, who's like I don't know, I don't know what he was at the time, maybe 3:29 or something. He's 11 seconds on you. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't anyway thinking. I was more just thinking this is all about making the final for me here. I think I went in ranked 40 something or something like that. And there was quite a big. I think it was like 50 something athletes had entered. I was ranked 40 something, and I knew I was just like, all right, if I can make the final here, I'm going to be completely out ranking myself, which was the goal. And we kind of thought, like looking at previous championships and stuff, like even 3:42 was kind of getting me into the final. And so we thought, like, right, I've got Jakob and Neil Gurley, who's a 334, 335 guy. They were both in my heat, so I knew they were going through. I think everyone knew they were going through, and so we were looking at a fastest loser spot. And it was up for grabs there as well. I thought, anyway, if I can just bop out kind of something similar to what I did in the micro meet. I train by myself. I know how to front run. I know how to kind of gauge my splits well enough. So I wasn't afraid to go to the front at all. That was the plan. And I came out. I remember we were in the call room. So I think Andrew was first. And we had no screens at all in the car room, so we have no idea what the other heat is beforehand. And I remember I was walking. I was in the next heat, and Paul was in the heat after me. So in my head, I'm going, all right, if I can just run like a 341, 342, I should be in the final here. I'm just going to try and front run this solo up by myself. Paul went to the bathroom and comes running back as I'm walking out. And he goes, oh no, so there was 4 heats. Andrew is in the second one. I'm in the third, Paul's in the fourth. So we didn't know what the first one was at all. And I think that was a 342. And so Paul's running back from the bathroom as I'm walking out. And he goes, first heat, 342, whatever. And so I'm going in my head, great, all right, like that's, okay, I just need to beat 342. That's the fastest who's at the moment. And I walk out onto the track, and I'm just after seeing on the big screen, Andrew Coskren's got the fastest spot of he's got the first one of 339.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, jeez, here we go. So I'm going like, right, like just like, I'm just on the line. I'm going, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to run 339 here today, lads.
Yeah.
Like I was just in my head. I'm just going like, this is it. And I feel like I had the balls to just go out and give it and head off at 339 pace and see what happens, but just about didn't work out. Jakob kind of took control of the race halfway through, and I wasn't able to survive. But it was such a good experience. Like it kind of gave you that bit of belief that, like, I think I came away from that champs ranked 15th in the end, and I think like 11 made it into the final. But like I was ranked 40 something going in, so I was coming away from that going like, I was disappointed that I didn't make the final. But then when you take a bigger step back, you're kind of going, geez, like I completely out qualified or completely outran my ranking going in, so I can't be that disappointed. But it definitely gave me the confidence to go into other races kind of up against lads that might be quicker than me on paper, but going like, my balls are bigger than you, fella. So that's at least 2 or 3 seconds I've got there. I took that into the outdoor season. And my first race was, what I was saying before. I got quite lucky with my first race of the outdoor season. That was Ostrava. We just got lucky to get in. That's a Continental Tour Gold. I think it's like the one kind of step down from a Diamond League. So we were buzzing. This is the biggest race I'd ever been in, and we were so lucky to kind of get in. But like, obviously, these kind of opportunities don't come around very often. So we knew that we kind of had to take the opportunity. Like this wasn't a race that you could run badly in, or else you just won't get invited to these again. But like, again, you're on the start line. You've got like Lewandowski, Gomez, Rosmes, like all, I could name the whole start list. Like, it was like, I know who all these lads are. They haven't a clue who I am. I just felt like an outsider in early, but then on the line, it's like, it's almost as if like a switch flips, and you're just like, right, like I've got a job here to do. So, got out and ran 3:37, 3-second PB, and that was exactly what we needed to get the ball rolling for that outdoor season. Opened up a few doors, getting into a few other races, and kind of like getting into different meets, meeting new people, experiencing that kind of pro circuit. It's just been unreal this whole year. Like the learning experiences that we've come away from this year been unreal.
Definitely, and kind of in terms of being out for the majority of the 2020 year, not even just the seasons. Like, do you feel it was kind of obviously getting into some probably the biggest races in your life? You think that injury you picked up in 2020, affected you in the sense that with having races like European Indoor Championships and coming on to the circuit in a sense? Do you think that affected you at all, or do you think by the time them races came around, it really had nothing to do with it?
It definitely played a part early on in the indoor season, I think, just because I was so rusty, race rusty. Like you have to remember, like you probably know as well, like like there's no call rooms or anything like that
Yeah,
in Dublin's or All Ireland's or anything. So like I'm experiencing my second ever call room.
yeah,
Um, and then like yeah, it's just like that kind of like pre-race nerves. Like it's very hard to kind of get used to having not really experienced that for over a year. Like as much as like you might have that kind of self-belief, like nerves are something else if you're not able to control them and use them in the right way. Like for like kind of like positive energy and adrenaline. They can really kind of screw you if you let it get to you too much. But like as the races kind of got on, you kind of didn't really think about the past, and it's just all about your last race. I think anyway, that's how I was looking at it. Like you're in the shape of whatever race you ran last, nearly.
yeah.
And yeah, once I got the ball rolling, I was grand, but I was definitely very nervous going into my first couple of indoor races.
Definitely, and then obviously coming to the like end of the track season this year, obviously it was a long season with indoor Europeans and then the Olympics. Did you feel this year you were racing a lot more than you were previous years?
Yeah, um, obviously as well the fact that like this is the first year that I'd really kind of raced in Europe. Like I would have done a couple of BMCs and stuff in 2019 and in 2018 I did like a lot of Irish go over to Belgium and do those IFAM meets and stuff. That would have been my only real experience of international races. But like even still, you probably only be doing like 6 or 7 races in total, maybe throughout the season if you don't make any internationals.
Yeah,
Uh, but like this year, I think I ran something like 22 races or something in the year, track races, including indoors, which is like obviously a massive step up, and like it's massive as well, and kind of learning how much your body can take in one go, like learning how many days you can give your body before you can race again early. Um, and like after Ostrava, I was down because we were just chasing qualification points for the Olympics. And so like we were trying to get into any race possible, like any kind of concept, because I'd never done a continental tour meet at
yeah,
all, and we were just trying to get into any, whether they were gold, silver, or bronze. We were just trying to get into anything, and I raced again 2 days after Ostrava. Absolutely stupid stuff. I was absolutely bollocks. Like, and it was in a different country as well, so you're
yeah,
having to. I was racing Ostrava, go from Ostrava to Germany the next day, and then race the next day. I'm just absolutely bollocks.
yeah,
Trying to go out and do the same again. So like we knew like, all right, okay, like I need to give myself a good few days now, or not a good few days, but like at least 3 or 4 days before I could probably race again, like to my fullest. That's why you see people at like championships and stuff. Like people don't really realize how good of an Olympics that was for like say Andrew Costigan or something, like to be able to drop at 3:35 after running. I don't know what he ran in his heat, but like 2 days after he ran his heat, like that's really really
yeah,
good. It's not just like running a standalone 3:35. Like being able to put 1500s back to back, because 1500s are quite taxing on the body, especially when you're fighting for your life in heats and stuff like that. Um, yeah, like I fully respect that. Um, but no, it was cool experience, kind of getting like you're almost like as soon as one race is done, you're on the road again to the next one, and it's cool because you can kind of travel. You meet you meet athletes along the way and stuff, and they're all like a lot of athletes are going to the same next meet as you and stuff like that, so you can travel together with them and get to know them, and yeah, it's a cool way of getting to obviously get to know other pro athletes. Well, not other. I'm not a pro athlete at all, but like getting to know pro
Yeah,
athletes and
yeah,
their kind of lifestyle and stuff. And it's like, wow, like that's what I want to do and stuff like that. I want to be like them, and getting to know them, like being their friend and stuff like that. It's like if they might have been people that you'd look up to on Instagram and stuff like that, and now like you can call them friends and stuff.
true.
It's pretty cool. All of that's just to happen in one summer. Yeah, it was deadly.
100%. And like as you mentioned, you raced a lot this year compared to any other track season you've had in your entire running career. And then you have other people, just say Jakob Ingebrigtsen, for example, who, taking nothing away from him, he's one of the, if not the best athlete in the world at the moment, who's, maybe if he races only a few races during the track season, he's gonna have that qualification spot in the Olympics. But if you think with all the racing you were doing chasing qualification points, by the time the Olympics came around, in terms of tapering off and everything like that, do you think you would have been in the best shape possible, or do you think you would have still been tired from the whole series prior to it?
To be honest, I don't think I would have given a shit as I would have been there.
Yeah, that's fair.
The
Yeah.
whole goal was to try and make it there. No, but like in all seriousness, it's like there's kind of like there's a big gap at the moment between the athletes chasing standards and the athletes that have the standard from like the year before almost, that are kind of like almost guaranteed selection, like the Jacobs and the Jake Whitemans and stuff like that. Like they obviously have it way easier, but like they deserve it. Like
Yeah.
they're the guys that are running 3:30, 3:29. Like we kind of just have to get to that level before we can kind of like just start like kind of like looking at our seasons in a more tactical kind of way of
True.
going like, oh no, I'll pick the race on hit this date, this date, and this date. This will be good to kind of peak for whatever. At the moment, kind of most athletes in and around, obviously I can't really speak because I didn't qualify, but maybe say around Andrew Croscan's level, would kind of just be trying to qualify as soon as possible. So they just try and run the standard maybe in May, early June, just so that they can plan their races and peak at the right times, and maybe just even not race and just train and prepare for it or something like that. But yeah, it's obviously definitely way harder for people that are all the way up to the deadline, racing. Like Mark English, I think qualified on the last day or something like that. He's going to be bollocks for the Olympics because he's just been going non-stop. But then all the lads who are going to be racing in Tokyo in a month's time, they all had the standard a month ago, so they're all chilling and stress-free or whatever. So I guess you can say it's like it's unfair, but like it's not really. Like they're the ones that went out there and did the job when they needed to. So yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it's just the way it is, I suppose. Like people like you, obviously having to, at the same time taking nothing away from them athletes who are running these insane quick times. It'd be stupid then for them having to fight for spots in the Olympics, but then as well it is tougher on people like most of the Irish athletes, really, like yourself, who are then trying to rush for qualification points coming up to the Olympics. So it is very much the mixed bag. But I know it's a few years now, but are your sights set on Paris 2024?
Oh gosh, yeah. that's the only goal I have in my head at the moment. It's Olympics or nothing really.
True.
Even all the British athletes I talk to and stuff, it's like, I know there's the World Championships and everything, but like realistically everything revolves around the Olympics. Like it's just the biggest kind of sporting event, especially it's the biggest event in athletics that you can be at and kind of participate in. So it'd be obviously it's not a goal for next year, but like it would always be in the back of your head that like, how far off the Olympic standard am I?
100%.
Like even though you might be chasing a world standard, you're still going like, is that
the Olympics?
Is that an Olympic standard? No, like Olympics is the big one.
Yeah, it's always there in the back of the mind, and then when it's there in the back of the mind in the sense that you want to set yourself up the best way possible by the time the Olympic year comes around, so you don't have to go chasing them qualification points as much as you did just say this year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like 2024 is obviously a big year, but I think like people don't realize 2023 is also a big year in prep for
Yeah,
2024. Like if you run the standard in 2023, you can chill for 2024
exactly.
and pick the races like you want, or maybe you might finish your season early in 2023 to try to prepare yourself to get the standard in 2024 early and stuff. So, yeah, it's not just kind of like rock up on the day and see what happens. There's a lot of prep that goes into like not just the running, but like also the logistics of it and stuff. And the training plans and stuff like that are all kind of altered as to what the long term goals are, not just made each week, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like, to make these kind of like championships and stuff, it's very, very hard. So, yeah, you need to be on the ball, when it comes to planning and stuff like that.
definitely, 100%. So years prior to the Olympics is all about setting yourself up for the eventual time that the Olympic year does come around. And quickly, we're gonna jump off the track onto the cross country course just for a moment
Yeah.
because you did get the opportunity to represent Ireland in the mixed relay in Abbottstown in the European Cross Country Championships. Unfortunately, we just missed out on a medal, but don't just talk us through the experience because obviously I was talking to Brian yesterday and I was talking to Abdel Lajel and Scott Fagan after the race, and they've all said the same, that the atmosphere was just insane. I'd love to get your point of view on it as well. How was the entire experience for you?
Oh man, like I was saying to people afterwards, like I think it's the best feeling I've ever had in athletics anyway, if not outside of athletics as well. Like, it might have been a bit different for me than to them as well because I was like the only Irish guy on the whole course during my leg,
Yeah,
whereas like obviously in the other races there's like six of them. So like it just felt like everybody was just roaring like me on like the
yeah.
whole way. Like it was so hard not to get carried away that first kind of 150, 200 meters. Like because obviously, like we were so hyped beforehand. The four of us, like we were in the call room, we were huddling up together, and we were just trying to hype each other up, and like we were standing up and like shouting at each other and like pushing each other around, hyping each other up, and all the other teams sitting down, just looking up at us, going like, "Oh, what are these weirdos doing?" We were just screaming like, come on," or whatever, and like slapping each other on the back and stuff. And then, oh, we were just like this is our backyard, like this, like we're not gonna get pushed around here and stuff
100%.
like that. And we were just so like riled up, ready to get going, like because like I was so nervous before, like that was probably one of the most nerve-wracking races I've ever been, nerve-wracking times I've ever been before a race. And even Keir McGeehan said the same. She said that she thought that that was probably the most nerve-wracking she's ever been before a race. She's been in a world final,
Yeah,
just because it's like if you run bad, it's like almost on the team rather than on you. Like I feel like if you're in the individual, it's like if you run bad, it's just you that you have that you
yeah.
disappoint. Whereas like if you run bad, you're almost letting the others down. So like I was just so worried. I was like, rather than thinking like of doing well, I was just thinking like, don't fuck this up, like, or else everybody's. And it's not even just the four years, the whole crowd as well. It's
Yeah,
like if I slip here, if I fall there, or something, like oh, like I'm gonna be slated and
everyone's
stuff
gonna
like
see
that.
it
And I
like,
was just like,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
I was just going like a couple of those corners and stuff. I was taking I was obviously kind of like committing to all the corners, but like I was still worried. Like I saw a couple of lads slipping in the previous races and stuff. But like I knew Kira was going to get out hard. I knew she'd be up near the front, and that was all because like we were kind of thinking like Andrew is one of the best in Europe. The plan was just to get the baton to him, like in contention, because like he can on his day, like he's so hard to beat.
Yeah,
And like I knew Kira would get like in contention. I didn't think she'd give me a lead, and I was
she set her
like,
up quite well, to be fair to her.
yeah, I'd say she gave me like a 3 second lead
Yeah.
or something, and I was breaking it, man. You have no idea. Like I see, because I'm not looking at the screen at all. Like we're getting lined up and stuff, and she's coming around the corner, so I'm not looking at the screen. I don't know like what the story
Yeah,
is with like where she is in the race at all. I'm just trying to get my own zone. I'm trying to like like not like everyone in the crowd like at the line is like cheering me on. I'm trying to like block them out and just be like, right, Luke, like come on, like stick to like the game plan or whatever. Just get this like in contention. Like you're not gonna let anyone drop you. And I see Kira coming around and she's like got a bit of a lead and I was like, oh God, okay. And then she's like opening it and opening it and opening it and I was like, oh fuck, oh fuck. Like this is like I'm just gonna be hunted now, like the
Yeah.
whole leg. I was like, this is not what I wanted. Like I wanted to be the guy hunting, like cause then you got people to chase. So when I got the baton, I just pegged it, like everyone's screaming at you. So I just absolutely legged it. And I'm going around that first corner and you're coming onto kind of like the starting straight. And like my whole left side and right side as well, but my whole left side was just like packed with like fucking hundreds of people, like, and like I just couldn't slow down. Like I was just like so much adrenaline, so loud, like I couldn't make out anything. I just was absolutely ripping it. And then I got to the very end of the last turn, and a guy called Enda Fitzpatrick, he's well known in Irish legs. I just heard his name, or heard him shout. He was just like, "Relax," and I was just like, "Okay, yeah, no, I need to like chill here. I need to like get back into my own game plan here," because like I was just out like a bullet. Like I was just like so hyped up, ready to go that like I just wasn't really concentrating. So then at that point, I was like, okay, I need to chill here. It's so hard to gauge the pace or anything, like, because you've no idea. Because like I knew there was a French lad, who's a 3:31 guy behind me, and like I didn't know, like, are they right on me? Are they 5 meters behind me? Are they 10? But then obviously you don't want to look back because that kind of gives them an indication as to like, okay, like you're struggling. So I kind of I knew where like halfway was, like the kind of like wall bit, and halfway up that was halfway through the lap. So I kind of like had that marker in my head, just like get to there, and then you start working from there. So once I kind of passed that, you're like kind of mentally going, okay, halfway here now. And it's so quiet there. Like as soon as you go into
there
that
wasn't
kind of
many
forest
people
bit,
back there that day.
like it's so quiet. So like you can hear like like your own breath and everything, like, and it's just like from going from so loud to so quiet, you almost kind of lose that hype almost. You're just kind of like in your own zone. And that sharp hill then just took so much out of my legs because like I'd still be in base training at the moment. Obviously I'm like fit enough, but no one's in kind of like race track ready. Like no one's in 1500 meter shape at the moment. So like that kind of just took a bit of a sting. And like I could feel the lactic kind of creeping in a bit because I think once I came back out down that hill, that's a K. I knew that was the case. So it's 500 to go. But I knew a lot of people would be kicking from there because you're almost like the crowd again, and you can almost see the finish line across the field or whatever. But I knew just like, okay, you need to chill out here and just make sure you don't kick too early or whatever. But again, like that was so loud again. Like I was hurting pretty bad, and I think they just kind of lifted me home. And Jays, man, I was swimming that last 150.
I'd say so.
I was coming onto that last 100 or whatever, just because like I think I went off a little bit too quick, but it's just so hard when you're out there by yourself. Like you've nothing to chase, you've nothing to gauge your pace. I've no like nothing to like kind of latch onto and dig in for. It's like I came onto that straight. And I knew I still had a little bit of a gap, but like I knew they had to have been closing in on me because I felt like I was jogging up that home straight. I was just like looking at the ground, pulling so many different kind of facials. Like I was like, I don't even care how ugly I look right now. I am just like I was just gritting my teeth and everything, and I just tried to get that band over to Schiffer as quick as I couldn't wait to get done with the leg almost at that point. And then I remember after my leg, I was like, I had my hands on my knees, and all these lads coming in behind me, and they're all like falling to the ground and stuff. Like everyone's absolutely gone. And I look back up, and the whole crowd, like they were going mental, like around me when I passed over Sheaf, and they're going mental for Sheaf for the end. But like no one's like leaving because like I think it's quite hard to get like a spot up on the rail, so they all like hold their spots, so they weren't like leaving to go like to a different spot. It's like there's still like loads of people down there all like, oh well done Luke or whatever, but like the crowd like died down completely. I remember like I lifted my head back up and I was just like, "Come on!" to the whole
Yeah,
crowd, and then everyone just erupted again into a massive roar,
deadly.
and I think that was one of the like best moments
Class,
ever. Like
yeah.
I was just like, that was deadly. And I came out, like I like walked off the course, and Andrew came running over to me and gave me a big hug. And he was so hyped, and I was like, I was trying to hype him up again. Like I genuinely thought, like we thought we were gonna win. Like
Yeah,
it was like unbelievable scenes, and yeah, it was just absolute heartbreak when, like, I even saw when Andrew was coming around that last corner. Like I was there with Kira and Schiefer and Matt Lockett and our team leader Mark Kirk, and we're watching on the big screen, and we're just going like we've got a medal.
yeah,
Like Andrew, like no way he loses it, but like he led the whole wreck again as well. His whole leg, he kind of like he was kind of in no man's land because he was like he felt like he was better than the Belgian. He wanted to take it on and try and catch the GB lad. Then he kind of only realized halfway through that he probably wasn't going to catch him.
yeah.
And then he's trying to like he's the Belgian guy and the French guy are just sitting on him the whole leg. So like they were obviously going to be way fresher coming onto the straight because Andrew did the whole work. But like, oh man, it was we were all just gutted at the end. Like it was just something. Oh, like we were just in shock. Like we were just like, how did we not medal there? Just
Oh,
felt
yeah,
like we were robbed or something. But like,
it
sure, like
did.
someone has to come forth at the end of the day. Like we're not gonna like it was just such a good experience. Besides that, anyway. But like, just the medal would have been a cherry on top. But like,
100%.
nothing you can do really.
Yeah, no, just she forgot unlucky with her leg, and then as you mentioned, Andrew was just kind of left in no man's land, trying to catch up to the front three and kind of trying to reserve energy on that course. Even if you're going at a steady pace, them hills really do take it
Oh
out. Yeah,
man, like they're so much tougher than they look like. I know like people might think it's not that hilly of a course and
it's
stuff, but like
horrible.
when you're going at that speed and you kind of just hit the hill, kind of like at that speed, and it like really takes
Yeah,
the speed out of you completely. But like even for like Sheepers, like I know I saw online and stuff, people like kind of blaming her and stuff like that. But like Alex Bell just ran unbelievable, and she kind of
yeah,
just took the kind of made it look worse than it was. Like she, I think the second fastest girl on that leg was 10 seconds behind Alex Bell. And like again, she was in the same position as me. She was like out on her own. Like, and
yeah,
it's just so hard. Like I guarantee you, like if she had gotten it in second or third, she would have ran. Like no one could have had anything to say against her. Like
yeah,
she was the best option that we had at the time, and I think she did all she could on the day. Like especially with the position she was in. Like I didn't exactly give her a massive lead. Um, and then like obviously Alex Bell was just unbelievable on
yeah.
the day. Like it's also very hard when you've got the pressure of everyone, and then also you've got an Olympic finalist closing you down. It's pretty daunting.
Yeah.
So
No, just like what you were saying, it's in any relay race, it's inevitable that when you get the baton compared to a normal 1500 meter race or a normal cross country race, you're gonna get out faster, and then you get the baton where most of the Irish crowd is, so that as well is gonna push you on. So again, you're gonna go faster than maybe you would like to.
yeah,
But
exactly.
you know that's just how it was on the day. And look, I'm sure next time we'll come back stronger, and we'll definitely pick up a medal next time around.
Maybe we'll see you on the relay.
Fingers
Uh,
crossed. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to shake this injury first, and then you don't know where it will take me.
yeah. So what's the story then with yourself? Then are you looking at any colleges,
Uh,
or are you staying in Ireland?
I'm looking to do media in DCU next year, so
Oh, it's early, yeah.
that's the plan. In terms like of going abroad, like if I could go over to America after college, because I've been speaking to a few at least doing that, whether it's for running or whether it's for media stuff, either or would be great, but I definitely would love to head over at some point. But for now, it's getting over the injury, sticking with the club Clonliffe Harriers, and getting into DCU after leaving, sir. So that's the plan. So we'll have to see how things go then after that.
Yeah, DCU are really good. Yeah, like they've such a like big. It's almost like the hub for athletics in
Yeah.
Ireland, early like intervarsity athletics. Like there's such a big squad, and the crack over there looks class. And
Definitely.
definitely for media as well, you definitely get a lot of content over there.
100%. Yeah.
So, and obviously the athletes that you're going to be around at class as well. So you're only gonna get better over there. So, and then obviously, hopefully, then you can kind of progress and do the kind of same kind of route that Brian Fay did, and maybe
Head
get
over
a
after
yeah
for the
head over
Masters
after
and
him.
stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, definitely. So that's the dream, or that's the plan at the moment. So things are in the world at the moment. It could just
yeah,
it could all just
yeah.
go sideways. So you have to just take each day as it comes. You know what I mean?
Oh man, it's mad how the COVID situation has affected travel. Like even with like indoor races and stuff that we're looking at for next year, like it's so uncertain about what's going ahead, what's not, and
Yeah.
yeah, like especially with college, I'd say as well. I'd say it's an even more of a nightmare for you.
Yeah, like we don't know about predicted grades. If schools are closing, if we're sitting the full even, sir. It's like last year as well with the predicted grades. It was last minute, people were finding out. So I presume it could be the same kind of situation this year. And then the media course in DCU went from like 375 to 350 this year when all the points are going up. So I presume it's only going to come down then again. If we're not getting predicted grades. So like people were getting, I know a lad that got 625 points in my school, and he didn't get his first course because of how many people got 625 points this year.
Yeah,
Um,
I read a couple stories about that. It's an absolute joke.
oh,
Like
it's disgrace.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you just kind of have to try and get as many points as you can, like, and then obviously just put your first choices down on the
exactly. Yeah,
CAO. But yeah, it's leaving was that's why I stopped running for the leaving. Like it's such a tough year for any kind of student, never mind a student athlete,
yeah.
trying to balance that kind of training lifestyle and also studying and stuff. It's so hard. So
It is. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not envious of you at the moment, anyway.
No, I wouldn't be either.
I did my time.
Exactly. At the time. Exactly. No, that's a great way to put it. But look, all we can do is, as I said, take each day and fingers crossed it works out at the end. But look, I think, Luke, that's going to do for this episode. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really did enjoy it, and I do
Yeah, I really
appreciate you
enjoyed it as well. Yeah,
taking the time coming on the podcast.
thanks very much, Ken. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and you're doing a really good job with all the different kind of personalities and athletes you're getting on. So, excited to see where you can go from here.
Thanks, man. No, 100%. Really, really do appreciate that as well. For everyone watching and listening at home, I appreciate that also, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.